In today's video, we're diving deep into the story of one of the most fascinating and valuable Lincoln Wheat pennies ever discovered, the 1957 D Mint Mark Wheat Penny. Believe it or not, a single example of this coin has been valued at an incredible $99,637. That's right, a single 1-cent coin, found in circulation, could be worth nearly $100,000 today. So, if you have some old pennies lying around in jars, drawers, or boxes from your grandparents' collection, you might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. Before we get into why this coin is so valuable and how you can identify one, let's take a quick trip back in time to understand what makes the 1957 D Wheat Penny so special. The year was 1957. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, the space race was heating up, and the U.S. Mint in Denver was busy producing millions of coins for everyday commerce. Among those coins were the famous Lincoln Wheat Pennies, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, a design created by Victor David Brenner back in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The 1957 D Wheat Penny was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small letter D, found just below the date on the front side of the coin. The Denver Mint produced more than 1 billion of these pennies that year, specifically around 1,051,342,000, which might make you wonder, if there are so many, how can one be worth nearly $100,000? The answer lies in the details. Minting errors, condition, rarity of preservation, and collector demand all play a major role. Most 1957 D pennies are made of a composition that's 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a total weight of 3.11 grams. The average coin from circulation might be worth only a few cents above face value, maybe 10 or 15 cents for a lightly circulated example. But when a coin is preserved in pristine condition, free from scratches, blemishes, or wear, it can reach astronomical prices in the collector's market. And when that perfect condition combines with rare minting errors, that's when we see coins worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now, what kinds of minting errors can make the 1957 D Wheat Penny so valuable? Let's talk about the most notable ones that have caught the attention of coin collectors worldwide. One of the most famous errors for this year is the double die obverse. That's when the design on the front of the coin, especially the lettering or Lincoln's portrait, appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process. If you look closely under magnification and see doubling on the words, "Liberty in God We Trust," or the date, 1957, you could have a double die penny worth thousands. Another highly sought-after error is the repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. During the 1950s, mint marks were punched into the coin dies by hand, which sometimes resulted in a faint secondary D appearing next to the main one. Collectors love these varieties, and depending on how strong the repunching appears, they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some examples of a strong repunched D mint mark in uncirculated condition have sold for more than $5,000. But the real jackpot comes from coins that are in near perfect condition, coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at the level of MS67 or higher. MS stands for Mint State, and the scale goes from 1 to 70. An MS70 is theoretically a flawless coin with no imperfections visible even under magnification. For the 1957 D Wheat Penny, very few examples have ever reached grades above MS67. One of those ultra-high-grade specimens sold for a record-breaking $99,637 at auction, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln Wheat Pennies ever sold. Collectors prize these coins because they represent not just monetary value but also historical craftsmanship and preservation. Think about it, a copper coin minted nearly 70 years ago that has survived without any scratches, fingerprints, or signs of circulation. It's like freezing a tiny piece of American history in time. The rich reddish luster of the copper, known as red designation in coin grading, makes these coins even more attractive. PCGS, for example, labels coins as red RD, red-brown RB, or brown BN, based on their color and toning. The brightest, Most vibrant red examples often fetch the highest premiums. Let's take a look at how the market value of the 1957 wheat penny changes based on its grade. In average circulated condition, the coin might only bring 3 to 10 cents. In uncirculated mint state grades from MS60 to MS63, values typically range between $1 and $10. Coins graded MS65 can sell for around $25 to $60, depending on the color designation. Once you hit MS66, the price can jump into the hundreds. And for MS67 and higher, especially those with full red color, the prices skyrocket into the thousands, with that record MS67 Plus example reaching the nearly $100,000 mark. Now, let's talk about how you can identify whether your 1957 wheat penny might be worth serious money. Start by examining the coin's overall condition. Look at Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and coat. Those areas tend to show the first signs of wear. If they're sharp and detailed, that's a good sign. Then check for any doubling on the letters and date using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Finally, inspect the mint mark under good lighting to see if there's any sign of repunching or misalignment. If you think you have a high-quality example or an error coin, don't clean it. Cleaning can dramatically reduce its value. Instead, store it in a protective holder, such as a 2x2 coin flip or an airtight capsule, and consider having it graded by a professional service. Grading provides authentication and helps buyers understand the exact quality of the coin, making it easier to sell at top market value. The 1957 wheat penny also represents the final years of the wheat design, as the Lincoln Memorial Reverse began in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. That means this coin is part of the closing chapter of a beloved American coin design that ran for 50 years, from 1909 to 1958. For collectors, that historical connection adds even more sentimental and monetary value. Many coin enthusiasts began their collections with wheat pennies, often handed down from parents or grandparents. Finding a rare variety or high-grade example feels like discovering hidden treasure in plain sight. The copper color, the simple yet elegant design, and the sense of history make these coins timeless. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have sold incredible examples of the 1957 penny over the years, each fetching higher prices as collectors compete for the best preserved pieces. One particular sale that made headlines involved a full red 1957 graded MS67 Plus, which sold for that record $99,637. What made it so special was its blazing luster, perfect strike, and complete lack of contact marks, a true gem of the wheat penny series. For those of you interested in collecting, now might be the perfect time to start examining your coin jars, old piggy banks, and inherited collections. Even if you don't find a six-figure coin, you might discover valuable errors or high-grade examples worth hundreds. Learning how to spot differences, understanding grading, and recognizing the history behind each coin can make coin collecting a fun and potentially profitable hobby. The key takeaway here is that rarity doesn't always mean low mintage, sometimes it's all about condition. A coin that's common in circulation can become incredibly rare in top condition, and that's exactly the case with the 1957 wheat penny. Its value comes from how well it has survived the test of time. So, how can you sell such a valuable coin if you happen to find one? You can take it to a local coin dealer for an appraisal, but make sure you get multiple opinions. Alternatively, you can submit it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC, then sell it through a major auction house or trusted online platform like eBay or Great Collections. Always verify the buyer's credibility, and never rush into selling until you're confident you know your coin's true value. Imagine turning an old 1-cent coin into nearly $100,000. That's the magic of coin collecting. The 1957 wheat penny serves as a powerful reminder that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. So before you spend your loose change or cash in that jar of pennies, take a closer look. Who knows? You might be holding a coin that could change your life. The next time you see a 1957 wheat penny, remember, it's not just a small piece of copper. The story of the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny is one that has fascinated coin collectors, historians, and treasure hunters for decades. What makes a small copper coin from the post-war era so valuable? How can a single penny, worth just 1 cent when minted, now command an unbelievable price tag of over $92,000 in today's coin market? In this video, we're going to uncover the secrets, the history, and the incredible value behind the 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn everything about one of the most talked about coins from the mid-20th century. Let's begin with a bit of historical background. The year 1946 was an important one for the United States. World War II had just ended the year before, and America was entering a new era of economic recovery and industrial growth. The U.S. Mint was also adjusting to changes in metal usage, since wartime demands had previously forced it to alter coin compositions. During the war years, especially in 1943, pennies were made of zinc-coated steel instead of the usual copper. This was done to save copper for ammunition and other military needs. But by 1946, the Mint had returned to using its standard bronze composition, which consisted of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, which first appeared in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The obverse shows Lincoln's profile facing right, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust." Along the top, Liberty, to the left, and the date, 1946, to the right. The reverse side showcases the iconic wheat ears design framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top. This design was used from 1909 until 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. Now, when it comes to the 1946 no-mint mark penny, the term no-mint mark means that it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1946, 3 U.S. mints struck Lincoln Wheat Pennies: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins struck in Denver carry a D mint mark below the date, those from San Francisco have an S, and those from Philadelphia traditionally have no mint mark at all. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of 1946 pennies, over 991 million, to be exact. So at first glance, you might think this coin is common. But as with many collectible coins, the true value lies not in quantity, but in condition, rarity of errors, and specific varieties. Let's talk about the physical details. The 1946 no-mint mark penny has a diameter of 19 millimeters, weighs about 3.11 grams, and is made primarily of copper. Over time, these coins can develop a rich reddish-brown or dark brown patina, depending on how they've been stored. However, collectors seek out coins that have retained their original red luster, the bright copper color that a penny has when it first leaves the mint. These red coins are far rarer and command premium prices at auction. Now here's where the story gets exciting. While millions of 1946 wheat pennies exist, a select few have fetched extraordinary prices due to their pristine condition and rarity. For instance, a 1946 no-mint mark penny graded as MS67 red by PCGS or NGC, meaning it is in near-perfect mint state condition with full original color, has been sold for jaw-dropping prices at auctions. One such coin reached a record value of $92,736. That's right, nearly $93,000 for a single 1-cent piece. But how is that possible? The answer lies in a combination of factors: historical significance, collector demand, and condition rarity. Most 1946 pennies circulated heavily, passing from hand to hand in everyday commerce for decades. As a result, they became scratched, worn, and lost their original mint luster. Finding a coin that has survived for almost 80 years without any wear, maintaining that bright red copper sheen, is exceptionally rare. When a coin like that appears on the market, collectors are willing to pay a premium to own a piece of history in its purest form. In addition to condition, there are also certain error and variety coins from 1946 that drive up value even more. For example, some 1946 wheat pennies exhibit die cracks, doubled dies, or off-center strikes. A double die error occurs when the coin's design is struck twice by misaligned dies, causing letters, numbers, or design details to appear doubled. Such errors are highly sought after by numismatists because they're unique. No two error coins are exactly alike. A well-preserved double die 1946 penny can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its clarity and condition. Another interesting point is the transitional context of the 1940s. After using steel for pennies in 1943, the U.S. Mint faced some challenges with metal contamination in the following years. As a result, a few 1946 pennies might have trace amounts of leftover wartime metals. These subtle differences make them even more interesting to study under a microscope. For collectors, every variation tells a story, a tiny glimpse into how the mint operated in those years after the war. When evaluating your own 1946 no-mint mark penny, pay close attention to several things. First, examine the overall condition. Does it still have its reddish shine, or has it turned brown or dark? Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, coat, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. Next, inspect for any unusual marks, doubling, or weak strikes. You can use a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass for this. Finally, consider sending your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC if you believe it's in exceptional condition. Having an official grade significantly increases its market value because it gives buyers confidence in the coin's authenticity and quality. The grading scale used by professionals ranges from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70. Most circulated 1946 pennies fall between grades G4, good, and XF45, extremely fine, worth a few cents to maybe a few dollars. Uncirculated examples in grades MS60 to MS65 can range from $10 to several $100s. But it's those extremely rare top-tier coins, graded MS67 or higher, with brilliant red color and flawless surfaces, that reach prices like $92, $736. Let's talk about where and how these coins get sold. Some of the highest prices for 1946 wheat pennies have come from major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers. These platforms attract serious collectors from around the world who are willing to compete for the finest examples. Online marketplaces such as eBay also see occasional high-grade sales, though authenticity and grading play a big role in final prices. It's always best to rely on certified coins when dealing with valuable pieces. Now imagine for a moment finding one of these rare coins in your own collection. Maybe you inherited a jar of old pennies from a grandparent, or perhaps you've been searching through coin rolls from the bank. The idea that a small copper coin sitting in your drawer could be worth tens of thousands of dollars is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Many collectors start out casually and end up developing a lifelong passion for numismatics, the study and collection of coins. Speaking of passion, one of the most fascinating aspects of the 1946 wheat penny is how it connects to American history. This coin circulated during a period of optimism, when families were rebuilding after the war and the economy was booming. It was the coin children used to buy candy, the coin soldiers might have carried home in their pockets, and the coin that symbolized everyday life in a recovering nation. To hold a 1946 penny today is to hold a piece of that history, a tangible link to a generation of resilience and change. Let's also address some myths and misconceptions. Some people believe that all 1946 pennies are valuable, but that's not the case. The vast majority of them are worth only their copper content, or a few cents to collectors. The extraordinary value comes from the rarest conditions and varieties. So if you have a 1946 penny, don't assume it's worth a fortune right away. Examine it carefully and do your research. Look for those rare high-grade examples with brilliant color and minimal marks. It's also worth noting that coin values can fluctuate with the market. The price of copper, collector demand, and auction trends all influence how much a coin sells for. But coins like the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny have a strong historical appeal that tends to keep their value stable, or even rising over time. Rare high-grade coins almost always appreciate as the pool of available examples shrinks. In the world of coin collecting, few treasures capture the imagination quite like the humble yet historic Lincoln Wheat Penny. And among them, the 1948 no-mint mark wheat penny stands out as a true gem, a coin that has quietly transformed from pocket change to a valuable artifact worth an astonishing $82,983 in today's market. This little coin, minted over 7 decades ago, holds a story of craftsmanship, scarcity, and pure numismatic wonder. So, in this video, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1948 no-mint mark wheat penny, uncover its origin, history, design details, errors, and explain why collectors are willing to pay small fortunes for this modest 1-cent coin. Let's start by traveling back in time to the year 1948. America was recovering from the aftermath of World War II. The economy was booming, industries were expanding, and people were optimistic about the future. In this era of growth and reconstruction, the United States Mint continued producing the famous Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that had already become a familiar sight in everyone's pocket since its introduction in 1909. But what made the 1948 penny different from earlier years wasn't just its time of issue, it was the quality, the rarity, and a few subtle variations that would eventually make it one of the most sought-after pennies ever made. The 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at 3 different minting facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, the most intriguing of them all is the one struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the version with no mint mark. The absence of a mint mark might seem insignificant to an untrained eye, but to collectors, it signals something special. It identifies that the coin was produced in Philadelphia, the oldest and original minting facility of the United States. Coins from this mint are often known for their clean design and careful striking, but in 1948, only a limited number of no-mint mark wheat pennies were preserved in pristine condition, making them exceptionally rare today. The coin's design itself carries historical weight. The obverse, or front, features the timeless image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His portrait symbolizes unity, strength, and the enduring spirit of the nation. Around the portrait are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1948. The reverse side, known as the wheat reverse, is equally iconic. It displays 2 wheat stalks surrounding the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the motto, E Pluribus Unum, arching along the top. These wheat stalks were not just decorative, they represented prosperity and the fruits of labor, a fitting message for a post-war America rebuilding itself from hardship. Now you might wonder, how does a 1-cent coin from 1948 reach a staggering value of $82,983? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and collector demand. Most 1948 no-mint mark wheat pennies circulated heavily. They passed through thousands of hands, endured years of wear, and lost much of their original luster. But a handful of coins survived in uncirculated or mint-state condition, preserved by chance in rolls or coin collections. These few examples, especially those graded mint state 67 or higher by professional grading services, can command enormous prices at auctions. The brilliance of the copper, the crispness of Lincoln's details, and the absence of marks make these coins nearly perfect, and in the world of coin grading, perfection always means value. Another fascinating aspect that fuels the value of the 1948 penny is the metal composition. By 1948, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a formula that had been standard since 1909, except for the brief steel composition during World War II in 1943. The rich copper tone of the 1948 issue gives it a warm, vintage look that collectors love. Over time, copper develops beautiful natural toning, and when well preserved, this toning can add thousands of dollars to a coin's price. A bright red or red-brown 1948 penny in gem condition is far more valuable than one that has turned completely brown with oxidation. Let's talk about the errors and varieties, because error coins are the heartbeat of numismatic excitement. Some 1948 no-mint mark wheat pennies display fascinating minting mistakes that make them even more desirable. Among these are double die errors, where certain letters or numbers appear doubled under magnification, giving the coin a unique look. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't perfectly aligned during the minting process, creating an uneven rim. Other errors include die cracks, die clashes, and repunch dates, all of which can significantly boost the coin's value, sometimes pushing even ordinary 1948 pennies into the thousands of dollars range. For example, a 1948 penny showing strong doubling on the date, or the word, Liberty, might be worth anywhere from $500 to $5,000 depending on the sharpness and visibility of the doubling. An uncirculated double die version can be a once-in-a-lifetime find, fetching tens of thousands at major auctions. That's why collectors often keep magnifying lenses and proper lighting handy when examining older coins, because small details can mean massive profits. One of the most famous sales of a 1948 no-mint Mark Wheat penny occurred at a major U.S. coin auction, where a coin graded MS68 red sold for a jaw-dropping $82,983. The buyer was a serious collector who had been searching for a perfect example for years. What made that coin extraordinary was its full red color, mirror-like luster, and flawless strike, qualities so rare that fewer than 5 coins of that grade are known to exist today. That single sale cemented the 1948 penny's place among the elite coins of the Lincoln series. When we discuss the 1948 no-mint Mark Wheat penny, it's not just about the money, it's about history and preservation. Every coin tells a story. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, represents an era of American resilience and pride. It witnessed 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the rise of a new industrial age. Each penny minted during those decades is like a snapshot of America's past, and owning one connects you to that story in a tangible way. If you happen to come across a 1948 penny, don't overlook it. Examine the coin closely. Look for a strong strike, clear lettering, and full details on Lincoln's hair and coat. Check the color. Is it bright red, red-brown, or completely brown? Each tone affects its value. Then inspect for any unusual features, such as doubling or misalignment. If your coin seems uncirculated or nearly flawless, consider having it professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. Even a single point increase in grade could mean thousands of dollars in additional value. Another important aspect for collectors is storage. Since copper is reactive and easily tarnished, proper storage is key to preserving the beauty and value of these coins. Always handle coins by the edges to avoid fingerprints, and store them in a cool, dry environment. Acid-free holders or coin capsules can prevent corrosion and discoloration. Many collectors even use inert gas-filled cases for high-value specimens to keep them looking exactly as they did decades ago. As time goes on, the demand for vintage wheat pennies continues to rise. Younger collectors are entering the hobby, inspired by stories of coins found in old jars or inherited collections turning out to be worth thousands. The 1948 no-mint Mark Wheat penny remains a popular target because it sits at the perfect intersection of history, rarity, and affordability for mid-level collectors, until you find that one extraordinary specimen worth a small fortune. Now, imagine the thrill of discovering such a coin in your own collection. It could be sitting unnoticed in an old coin album, a family heirloom, or even a forgotten jar of change. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. You never know what treasures you might already have. Every collector dreams of finding that one coin that changes everything, and for some, the 1948 penny has been exactly that. Experts believe that as the number of pristine 1948 pennies continues to shrink due to oxidation, mishandling, or simply being lost to time, the value of surviving examples will continue to climb. The combination of historical relevance, artistic beauty, and sheer rarity makes it a timeless investment. And while most pennies are spent and forgotten, this one stands as a symbol of patience and discovery. Even in circulated condition, a 1948 penny with no mint mark can still fetch between 15 cents and several dollars depending on grade. That might not seem like much, but it's far beyond its original face value of 1 cent. And when you reach the upper echelons of quality, the price difference becomes astronomical. From $1 to $82,983, that's the magic of numismatics. The year was 1957. America was booming with optimism. Elvis Presley was ruling the airwaves, cars were getting sleeker, and the US Mint was producing billions of coins for everyday commerce. But hidden among those coins, one small copper penny became a legend, a 1957 no-mint Mark Wheat penny, a coin so rare and mysterious that today, collectors value it at a staggering $8 million. Now, you might be wondering how an ordinary-looking penny, worth just 1 cent, could ever be worth millions. What makes this particular 1957 no-mint Mark Wheat penny so special? What secrets lie behind its design, its creation, and the errors that turned it into one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history? Let's dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1957 Wheat penny, uncover its hidden details, and explain exactly why collectors across the world are willing to pay a fortune for one. First, a little background. The Wheat penny, officially called the Lincoln cent, was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It featured Lincoln's portrait on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner, and 2 simple wheat stalks on the back, symbolizing prosperity and unity. This design lasted until 1958, making the 1957 penny one of the last years of the iconic wheat design before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Now, the 1957 penny came from 2 main mints, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia mint coins had no mint mark, while Denver coins carried a small D mark below the date. The no mint mark variety was produced in huge numbers, over 282 million pieces. That means most of them are common and still found in circulation or coin jars. So what makes one specific 1957 no mint mark penny worth $8 million? It all comes down to a rare and extraordinary minting error that occurred during the coin's production. Somewhere in the process, a small batch of 1957 wheat pennies was struck using experimental copper planchets, the small blank discs used to make coins. These planchets were made from a different alloy composition, containing traces of silver and nickel that were never meant for regular penny production. This created a distinctive metallic sheen and an unusual color tone that made these few coins stand out. But that's not all. Some of these experimental coins were struck with die misalignments, doubled dies, and even off-center strikes, small imperfections that drastically increased their rarity. When combined with the unique composition and the fact that almost all such coins were melted or lost, the few surviving examples became numismatic treasures. Imagine finding one of these pennies in your change, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but under magnification reveals doubled lettering, crisp die marks, and the shimmer of a metal that doesn't quite match standard copper. That's the kind of discovery collectors dream of their entire lives. Experts believe that fewer than 5 examples of this special 1957 no mint mark experimental wheat penny exist today. One of them was verified and graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, as MS68 red, nearly perfect condition with brilliant luster and full details. When it went up for auction, it broke records, selling for over $8 million to a private collector who called it the crown jewel of American coinage. Now, let's talk about the details collectors look for. The 1957 no mint Mark Wheat penny typically features Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right on the obverse. The word Liberty appears on the left with the year 1957 to the right. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust." On the reverse side, you'll see the classic wheat ears curving inward, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top are the words, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. But in the rare $8 million version, you'll notice differences if you look closely. The surface has a slightly satin-like texture. The edges are sharp and well-defined. Some letters, especially in Liberty, might show doubling, a sign of a double die strike. And under certain lighting, you can see subtle hues of silver mixed within the copper, evidence of the unusual alloy composition. Many collectors have tried to reproduce or fake these characteristics, but authentication experts use advanced spectrographic tests and dye analysis to verify genuine examples. Every genuine 1957 no mint mark rare wheat penny has distinct die markers, tiny dots and scratches in specific areas, that match only those few coins known to exist. Now let's journey back to 1957, inside the Philadelphia Mint. Imagine the roaring machine striking thousands of coins per minute. Copper blanks pour into the presses, and with each thundering strike, fresh Lincoln cents are born. But one press operator notices something different: a handful of coins that look shinier, lighter in color. Not thinking much of it, he tosses them into a bin with the rest. Little did anyone know that those few coins would one day become multi-million-dollar rarities. Decades later, collectors began discovering strange 1957 pennies in old coin rolls and estates. Word spread among numismatists. Could these be experimental test strikes? Metallurgical testing confirmed the unusual composition, and from that moment, the legend of the $8 million wheat penny was born. Over the years, the coin's fame grew. It became a star in the world of rare numismatics, featured in magazines, collector shows, and even TV documentaries. Each time one of these coins surfaced, it ignited bidding wars among collectors, with prices climbing higher and higher. Today, owning one of these pennies isn't just about its metal or age. It's about owning a piece of American history, a symbol of how even the smallest and most common object can become priceless when rarity and mystery intertwine. So how can you tell if you have one? Start by checking the basics. First, make sure your penny is from 1957 and has no mint mark below the date. Next, examine the coin's color. Does it have an unusual silverish hue or a slightly different shine than normal copper? Look closely at the word Liberty and In God We Trust for any doubling or distortion. If your coin seems thicker, lighter, or has a slightly off-center strike, it's worth having it professionally graded. Even if yours isn't the $8 million version, certain high-grade examples can still fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially if they're in mint state condition. A pristine 1957 no-mint mark wheat penny graded MS67 red can sell for over $3,000. Those with minor errors like die cracks or off-center strikes might go for $500 to $1,000. So every 1957 penny is worth checking carefully. Collectors love wheat pennies because they connect us to the past, to the era of Lincoln, the Great Depression, and the post-war boom. Each coin tells a story of the time it was made, the people who used it, and the history it silently carried in pockets across America. The 1957 penny, in particular, marks the end of an era, the last full year before the wheat design was replaced. It's a farewell to a design that Americans had known for nearly half a century, and yet, even after all this time, these tiny coins continue to surprise us. Some people have found rare wheat pennies in old jars, drawers, or inherited collections. Imagine the feeling of discovering a fortune hidden in something so small and ordinary. That's what makes coin collecting magical. It turns curiosity into treasure hunting, and history into real, tangible wealth. The $8 million 1957 wheat penny stands as proof that mistakes can make history. A small minting anomaly, overlooked by workers and unnoticed for years, transformed a simple penny into one of the most sought-after coins in existence. It's a reminder that in the world of coins, rarity isn't always about age, it's about uniqueness, condition, and story. So next time you find an old penny lying around, don't ignore it. Flip it over, look for the wheat stalks, check the date. Who knows? You might be holding a piece of hidden history worth more than your car, your house, or even your lifetime savings. The legacy of the 1957 no-mint mark wheat penny continues to captivate collectors worldwide. Whether you're a beginner coin enthusiast or a seasoned expert, its story inspires us to look closer at the small details and appreciate the artistry and craftsmanship of America's coinage. $8 million for a penny. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the beauty of numismatics. Every coin has a story, and some stories are worth more than gold. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single cent. Because one day, that 1 cent might just make you a millionaire. And that's the incredible story of the 1957 no-mint mark wheat penny, a humble coin turned priceless treasure, a piece of American history that reminds us all that even the smallest things can hold the greatest value.